And we're connecting.
All right.
There, we're live.
Yay.
Share this. There, we're live.
Okay,
Oops.
awesome.
Share this. There, we're live. Share this. Let me share this in a few places.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm not seeing it on here yet, so I'll wait a few minutes and then I'll share it.
Okay, it is there. You click refresh. I just did that and it went there.
Perfect. Might be a little bit delayed because I'm on the phone. Oh, yeah, I see it on my computer. All right, so I'll share it on my pages.
And
Hi, loves. Who's here? I see people joining us now.
yes. Let's start. How about that? Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, Warrior of Love. And today I have a pleasure to present you with one of my mentors in the career that I have. And she's have changed my life in so many ways, and even to how with the way how I observe it. But let me tell you a little bit who is she. Uh, Rosalyn Fung is an intuitive mindset and visionary business coach specializing in clients attraction and soul sales. She also offers Akashic Records readings and soul coaching, and has the spiritual gift of clearing the blocks and amplifying the soul purpose on her light language. She's an international speaker of the two best-selling authors mastermind workshops facilitator on topics of self-love, mastering your energy, money mindsets, and attraction marketing through speaking, leverage social media. Rosalind has hosted Catalysis of Her Life radio show, toured and podcast, Activate Your Soul Orgasmic Business. She's also co-author of the international best-selling book, What is Self-Love, What Self-Love Got to Do With It, and Business of the Life and Universe, that I was proud also to be part of it. Rosalind has been
Mm-hmm.
featured, yes, Rosalie has been featured in the Huffington Post, CBC Radio, and has spoken for Fearless Women Summit and Women's Means Business in the Harvard University. As a former psychologist over 10 years, a second degree of black belt in karate and Reiki master and divine compassion, multidimensional healer, she combines the power of neuroscience, psychology, and spirituality to help you get out of your own way, unapologetically show up and activate your soulgasmic business in fun, bold, and sexy way. And we have the pleasure to have her here today. I really, really appreciate for accepting my invitation.
And what a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Monica, to have me on Summer Solstice. This is so special.
Yes, it is.
I feel like it's going to be, I have to be like warning the audience. I have been feeling a headache, and I think it started around Saturday night. And I know that this is often a very, like that kind of headache I'm having right now is an ascension symptom. I can feel me ascending. I'm not making very much sense today, so we'll see what comes through. This should be really entertaining. I haven't been able to formulate my sentences as well as I usually do. So far, I think I'm doing okay right now, but we shall see.
I believe the majority of us, or the light workers, or the star seeds, or wave showers, or people that work with energy, we're feeling this. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that is right now something so common in all of us to feel this. So also, and the technology wise is getting also in our way. So I apologize if we have any problem with the communications. The energies are very hard. That can happen.
We'll just ask the tech gods that can work with us. So, yeah,
Yes.
beautiful.
Ross, I know you were a psychologist for 10 years.
Yeah,
That's
super thing.
already, you have established your clientele. You were following the system, all the rules and regulations that the psychologists have to get in any country in the world. And even if you're in Canada, it applies for all the country in the world, or else they can lose their license, even promoting so openly in Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you actually change to the holistic path?
Well, yeah, that was quite a journey, and it almost feels like oh my God, I was gonna say like 10,000 lifetimes ago. But yeah, I was specializing in food and body image, which are doorways into deeper aspects of ourselves, so self-love. When I was a psychologist, I became the go-to. And of course, you learn what you need to teach. So I personally struggled with disordered eating. I got into bodybuilding. And in 2008, I competed in a figure bodybuilding competition. So I had this quote unquote perfect fitness model physique. And I worked so hard. I dieted so hard to get there. But the mindset was all around like very restrictive eating. And then just secretly, I was binge eating behind closed doors and feeling guilty, then beating myself up. And then my form of purging was over exercising. So on this day, on stage in 2008, it was June, I came in last place. And so that on that day felt like really confirmed that my belief of I'm not enough was true, or so I thought, right? And so that led to a breakdown, which we all know another word for breakdown is breakthrough, spiritual awakening. And at that point in time, as a psychologist, I was led to learn about a method called Haikomi, which is a mindfulness method that combines psychology, neuroscience, and at this point in time, I was like this thing called spirituality. I was so masculine. And I had learned, when you're learning something, you cannot not do your own work. So I had learned I was operating from this belief that I am valued in my doingness. So my status, my titles, my achievements, my like just whatever society claims as successful, rather than my beingness, who I am. And my doingness never felt enough. And so when I realized I had been unconsciously operating from this place, I was like, well, no wonder I'm like this overachiever, this perfectionist, this hardcore type A personality. Very much like I'll sleep when I'm dead. I just push, push, push and force, and never stop. Nothing's ever good enough. And so that was my very first spiritual awakening. There's been many layers, but that was my very first one where I started to peel off my mask and come home to myself. I started to embrace the arts of slowing down, embrace perfectly perfect, and I started to move more into embracing my femininity, my divine feminine. And this was a world that was really new to me. Haikomi changed my life so much that I got certified in it. It means how do I stand in relationship with myself and how do I stand in relationship with others? Because we're always in these relationships. And I use it very much to this day in my work with my clients. It's very powerful. It works, it's an experiential method, and it works very much on the subconscious beliefs. And I also got certified in eating psychology. And then I ran many groups, group therapy for men and women around food and body image. And I also works with individuals. So that inspired me to become the first psychologist in my province to create an online program in 2014. And that was a lot of red tape. But I knew that it was possible, and I figured out a way to do it legally and ethically. And then that opened up a lot more doors. I just knew that there's something so much bigger and so much greater. And that led to my first international speaking gig, a magazine cover on a fitness magazine, actually. And I wrote a 4-page article on how to flex your self love muscle. And it was incredible because on the cover, I just had my second son. So I did not diet. I did not get photoshopped. It was very much about embracing all my new curves and the part of my body that I hated the most of my life, which was my stomach. It was never flat enough, even when I had abs. And I wanted to celebrate my body. So on purpose, I wore like a very short, a sports bra and shorts, like booty shorts, and celebrated my body. And so I had all these incredible women writing me who read the article on how to flex your self-love muscle and asking if I can work with them. And I was like, I really want to, but I can't because I'm licensed only in the province. And these people were writing from outside of my province. So I knew deep down inside there must be a different way because I felt the pull. I could really feel the pull. And at that point in time, I was still, I wouldn't have called it spirit, but when I look back, it was absolutely spirit. It was absolutely my intuition guiding me. Like there's something greater here. You know that feeling when you just can't stop thinking about something, you feel like you just need to follow it. And your ego's like, I don't know. So from that place, I was continuing to do my inner work. I wanted to work on my money mindsets. I was doing a personal development group coaching as a client, and I manifested my accountability buddy, and she's a 7-figure award-winning business coach. And I was like, well, I can't make this shit up. So of course she was there doing her own work. Of course we got to know each other really well. And months later, I ended up hiring her as my very first business coach, which at that point in time, I was like, this is the scariest investment I've ever made because I've never invested in a business coach before. And so from there, what happened was she helps me start a self-love coaching business. And I did not have the intention of retiring as a psychologist, but as I could bring in more, I was actually a Reiki healer at this point in time as well. I could bring in more of my energy work and more of how I really want to show up without the restrictions of being a licensed therapist, and still being able to work with people so that they could break free from their food restrictions and the prisons we put ourselves in. I was also a speaker at the time, and I had been taught how to speak and sell. So that's actually how I went around selling out my group therapy programs and then my online program. And so from that place, I manifested a lot of women entrepreneurs who saw me and heard my journey and saw what I did. And when they were like, can you help us get out of our own way and show up like you do and just create that amazing, visibility and impacts? I'm like, yeah, that would be so much fun. So my business eventually shifted to what I do today, which is a visionary spiritual business coach. I still do the inner work. I'm still, as you know, continuing to grow and expand my soul. And, I think that there's anything I'm obsessed with, it is absolutely continuing to do our inner work and spiritual work. It's so deeply important. So fast forward, one thing I'm really good at is attracting clients naturally. And so one of my other coaches was like, Like that's something you're naturally amazing at. Like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, yeah, let me break that down into a method. And so that's how I started to specialize in client attraction. And I just love selling. I love money mindset stuff, wealth consciousness. I love teaching about this. So I'm like, yeah, let's bring all that in. And sales is a whole new game in terms of understanding how to sell soulfully. And so that's been something that's been established in the last couple years. And then I recently, as of December 2020, got certified as an Akashic Records soul coach. So I friggin' love it. It's one of my favorite things. So I've been expanding my business more into being a spiritual soul coach, as well as continuing to be a business coach. So yeah, the expansion continues.
I bet that was very, very scary for many reasons. One, I don't know in Canada, but at least in United States, psychologists can get paid by insurance.
Yes. Oh
And
my God, I was like
and you have
crazy.
to drop that because in the holistic world,
Yeah.
people have to pay by their pocket. And sometimes it's very hard with the economy right now, and more after 2020. It
Mm.
was very hard for all of us, for the holistic entrepreneurs, at least. So dropping that safety actually open up for more things for you in that way.
It did well, and look, I'm glad you brought that back up because honestly, as I tell my story, that's something I really want to address is how that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do was to eventually when I was, because I didn't have the conscious intention to let go of being a psychologist. I loved being a psychologist, but as my coaching business grew and I saw that it was so much more aligned for how I want to show up and who I am as a person and my personality, I realized that I was actually playing small. Even though, so like a lot of my ego came up. It would say things like, you're making six figures and you don't even work full time. You barely have to market yourself as a psychologist. You have a young family to provide for. I have two young boys. And are you really going to start all over again? And like in this unregulated profession, like what if you fail? And that was a really big one. My ego would also say, okay, this one, like, I hate to admit it, but this is actually what I would say or think is like, am I really going to demote myself from a psychologist to just a coach? Because the truth is, anybody, like, it's scary, like, in the terms that anybody can be a coach. And we all know, like, not everybody should be a coach. Um, so, did I want to put myself in that pool of unregulation because you're trained as a psychologist to really be like very, very ethical. And of course, that doesn't leave. It's ingrained inside of me. Um, and it was just a lot of ego with that I really had to let go of. The other thing that came up was, are you willing to risk disapproval from your Asian parents? In my culture, I'm Chinese, we are all about the doing, the status, the achievements. Like that's how you are. Um, your beliefs are like you're molded to like be successful, and have a certain achievements, or else you're no good, kind of thing, right? And so, was I willing to let my parents down? They were really, especially my dad, um, they really didn't get it. They really didn't understand. Like, they thought I was being brainwashed by my coaches. And I could feel their fear, but I had done enough work at that point in time to um, recognize like that wasn't my stuff, and that for whatever reason I am going to have to do this crazy thing, or I'm choosing to do this crazy thing. I'm choosing to bet on myself because I knew there was something bigger inside of me. But it took me like 6 months. I couldn't even set a date of when I would retire or resign from my psychologist profession. But I had a strategic plan with my coach. And by the time it came around to renew my license, it was not even a big deal. It was not scary. And I just slowly dwindled down my clients, grew my coaching business even more, and I made six figures in the first year, working part-time as a coach. So I knew like this was so aligned for me. Um, I just felt so much more at home being a coach than as a psychologist at this point because I've expanded so much and the expansion continues. And trust me, there are many more lessons that, that keep coming up. And, you know, that's just part of life is, um, you know, I just, something I just had a conversation with somebody on Saturday night was, it's like, do the thing that brings you the highest joy, the highest level of joy. And when it doesn't bring you joy anymore, let it go. Let it go because you're creating more room for that next thing that is bringing you joy and you stay in a higher vibration. And I really loved that he said that. Actually, it's his birthday today. Matt Wilkie, I'm going to give him a shout out. And we were at his birthday party. And I just thought, you know what, Matt, that is a beautiful way that really confirms and affirms everything that I've gone through and continue to go through as I'm expanding more. It's just like, okay, what's the thing that brings me the highest joy? What do I need to burn down and destroy so that I can create and birth something new? And I would say that I'm been in that process, particularly in the last, I'll say strongly in the last year during COVID. It's been beautiful. Like strongly more so actually in the last half a year as I've been expanding more and ascending more. But yeah, it's like reach for the thing that provides the highest joy for you. Bet on yourself. No one else is gonna get it, and you don't. No one else lives your life. That's another huge thing. No one else lives your life.
It is funny because we are all programmed to, we have to follow certain patterns, so we
Mhm.
accept it socially.
Yeah.
And including my kids, when they were going to go to college, they asked me, Mom, what I should study. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to study. Just imagine that you have to do it the rest of your life.
Yes.
And if you are not passionate about it, then why you want to study something that I told you to? And then
Yeah.
you hate it. It's like I remember my parents want me to be or a bookkeeper or a lawyer. So I'm totally not one or the other. I'm
Yeah.
terrible organizing. I am a paralegal, but because I did not want to go to the long route and just to please my mother.
Mm-hmm.
But that's and I just use it for my personal purpose. I don't even work for a lawyer because I don't like it.
Mm.
And but that's the majority of the human beings, they tend to follow what society is approved. And talking about approval by society, I have a question because I've been asked lately a lot, that because I'm teaching channeling,
Yeah.
and some people tell me like, okay, are you not afraid to be called schizophrenic or something like that, that you're hearing voices and that you're hearing that? And all the channelers, that's what we do. We're looking for those messages or those in light language or in message writing or in whatever forms. And I teach people how to become, they tell me, oh, then you teach people how to become schizophrenic.
Yeah. I've heard that one before, actually. Um, and yes, when people don't really understand this world, they get scared, right? Because all we know then is the 3D world and the clinical world and the DSM, right? What we're diagnosed with. And if you're not normal and you're doing these things that are not making sense, there must be something wrong with you. And it's just like, you know, the
But
world is, I think the world is slowly waking up, but there's still quite a stigma around, what's going
I'm,
on.
I'm more with the medical industry, and
Yeah.
that psychologists, in the way when you're telling them, oh, I am a channeler, oh, you need medicine. You know, in the moment you say that, how do you overcome the judgments? I believe of all the psychologists.
You know what? Actually, this is a great question. I feel like there are. more psychologists who are at least that I am associated with, who are my peers, were my previous colleagues. They were very intuitive themselves as well, and we weren't outright, speaking about it. But I would say one of the most significant people was a psychologist that helps me become more intuitive, was a psychologist I work with, and she's actually the godmother of my children. She's one of my best friends, and I was at her clinic for the longest time in private practice. And she's very in tune and intuitive, and we would have these conversations. And I remember, even as a psychologist myself, one of my clients, she she came in hoping that I would give her a diagnosis, and I was like, well, have you ever thought about you being an intuitive and these are part of your gifts? And I only would have said that because I had at that point in time only recently learned about intuition and being more psychic and just like trusting whatever is um, coming up for her. And she was like, damn it, I just want somebody to put me on medication. And she didn't tell me this till later. And we stayed in touch. And so um, she just said that was one of the most powerful, profound moments, was that nothing was actually wrong with her. Um, and that she actually is a very talented psychic today. So yeah, it's just very, very cool how like full circle moments come. I also have clients who are psychologists and they're shamans, and so it's just like I feel like that profession's starting to embrace, but I feel like, and I'm just going to boldly say this, some colleges need to get with the times and be more open to this. I get that there's specific fields where it might be, clinical settings where it might not be appropriate,
Yeah.
but I feel like there needs to be something different. And we're in a different century now. We're moving up, and we're all raising our level of consciousness. The kids that are in our generation today, like they are way more sensitive, way more conscious than any generation from previous. And I see the movement moving toward. So,
And I believe it's very important also to teach them how they can manage the
mm-hmm,
karma calendar,
mm-hmm,
because or else you're not gonna sleep. You're gonna be 24 hours a day channeling, and you need to rest. And there's a lot of things that they need to learn with this.
yes.
Unfortunately, there's people are afraid of this, and also religion goes into this, where they have a lot of fears. And talking about fears, how do you overcome the fear of showing up and believing in yourself when you start doing light language?
Hmm. Well, I got gifted light language about 2 years ago. And let me just kind of put a background and context into this. Um, and before that, I had only heard light language from two separate individuals. And deep down inside, I was like, one day I'm going to be able to do that. I just like had a knowing. And so I got gifted the light language. Um, and then I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, is this gonna? I didn't want to cause any harm. My psychologist brain kicks in. If I want to do any harm, and so like I don't know what to do with it. I don't really understand it. I just know I do this thing and it feels good. Um, but right now it just feels like I have no idea, and so my confidence in speaking light language wasn't there because I just didn't know how to use it. And you and I know Aurora. Aurora,
Yes.
like she came to see me because she's a joyful alchemist, and so she was like, Roz, I need you to help me put together and help people understand in messaging what I do. So as we were working together and figuring out who her ideal client was, I was like, wait a minute. I think I think your ideal client is me. So I shortly hired her to help me understand what light language really is and how to use it and how to use it for the highest good and truth and healing and activating other people. And so um, I think number one, how I got over my fear of speaking light languages, um, I hired a coach. I was like, yo, I got to learn what this is really about. I need to learn how to use it, quote unquote, properly. And I laugh because we know light language can't damage anyone. So I laugh now, but, I just really, really was like, I don't know. And I feel like surrounding yourself with people, other people who speak light language, who understand it, who embrace it, who maybe don't speak it, but yet like feel like, oh my gosh, keep speaking. It's doing something for me. I'm feeling like it's home. I'm feeling so much more clear. I'm feeling more calm, more peaceful. And and so it's like, and you know what I say about polarizing, going bold, is if you're not polarizing people, you're not being bold enough. And if this is something that's a gift given from divine and we're not using it, we're being of disservice to ourselves and for others. And so I just got out of my fears, because fear is just ego. And I went, okay, this is a gift that can help other people heal, clear blocks, activate their their purpose for higher truth and good. My light language also helps people bring in more abundance, prosperity form, and many different other forms. And it's it's a disservice. So I just thought, I'm getting out of my way, not listening to my ego, and I'm gonna connect more with my higher self. And it becomes your new normal.
How it got you to study Akashic Records, Reiki healing, and so forth?
Sorry, ask again.
Yes. How you start? You decided you wanted to study more about Reiki
Oh
and
yeah.
become a healer,
Mm-hmm.
and because that's what is Reiki, and Akashic Records at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, to adding more to the business and the psychology and all your
Yeah,
package.
well, the Reiki actually came next. Okay, so you want to hear about my story? I used to be really freaking scared of psychics. I didn't see my first psychic until I was 30 years old. I just thought, okay, on my 30th birthday, I will be 40 in August. So that was a decade ago. And I was so scared of psychics. And I thought, okay, you know what? I had friends who saw psychics. I just thought, hey, it's gonna be fun. And I heard they can't tell you anything bad. So, okay, I'll go. And so I had my very first psychic reading when I turned 30. I thought, hey, like some of what he shared with me um, had come true. And at the time, I was a psychologist. I was on mat leave, I think, with my first child. And the psychic said, you're going to be big, like not quite Oprah big, but you're going to be making profound impacts in this world. You're not going to be living in this country in 5 years ish. And I was like, really? But I'm licensed in this province. Like, how? I can't see where that's even possible, because I was a psychologist at that time. And I was like, okay, whatever, right? And so some of those other things, he's like, you're gonna be writing lots, and just he shared the impacts. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. I could see some of that, and then some of that has come true. And then the psychologist, where I've mentioned her before, she held a psychic party maybe about like 6 months later, because where we were practicing, our clinic is actually this beautiful old um, home that's over 100 years old. And so there's some lovely spirits that live there, and she wanted to learn more about the spirits that live there. We even had clients who are psychics that would come in there, like, the energy here is really good. And so we wanted to find out more. And so I was at this potluck party with this group of women who I didn't know very well. And they are women that I would now like say in the same energy of who I hang out with now. They're all psychics, they're all intuitives, they could see, and I'm like, here's me like wide-eyed, like, oh my god, what is going on? Like they say things like, hey, like I was dating this guy and we went back to his home and like the ghost made rice for us. I'm like, what the f? Like, and I start crying because I'm like, I don't understand. Like, how can that be? Like, you're not scared. You're just saying this like the, like it's no big deal. But I knew I was having a body reaction, like an overreaction to this, because no one else is freaking out. They're like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, no, that's really scary. Like, and so fast forward, I learned, I was talking with a girlfriend who became my very first spiritual healer. She helps me recall a unconscious memory. She's like, I just see you, Roz, as a little girl trying to open the door, and your parents are on the other side saying, not until you calm down. And as soon as she said that, and this happened a week after the psychic party, I just remember my whole body felt like something lifted, like this lightness, this acknowledgement. As flashback came back to me, I remembered, and I started to cry. And I said, I remember that. What happened? And she described, she's like, you saw an earthbound ghost, which is a spirit that didn't know he was dead. And we were, my parents were renting a place at the time while we were getting our home that I grew up in built. And I literally remembered that. I had a flashback. I can, as I'm speaking today, right now, I can remember what he looked like. He just looks like a normal 40-something overweight man wearing suspenders and a plaid shirt and trousers. And he was yelling at us, but I didn't remember what he's saying. So I said, what happened? And she said, he's yelling at you guys, get out of his house, because he doesn't know he's dead. So of course my parents can't see. I can see. And my parents thought I was having a temper tantrum, locks me in the room to help me calm down, but he locks me in the room with the ghost. And so, no freaking wonder, I've always been so scared of like the haunted houses, even at carnivals. Like, I still to this, I don't love it, but now I recognize like I'm not as scared. I can't watch horror movies, like all these things. So I'm like, oh shit. So I hired her as my very first intuitive coach to learn how to become more intuitive, because I recognize that these are gifts. And goodness, that was, so my first son is born in 2012, so that would have been 2012, 2013. I started my spiritual journey this way. And at that time, I got certified in Reiki shortly after, and that helped me open up more. And so that was back in 2000, and I would say 13, 14. And so that was some of the energy work I had been so I knew how to do Reiki. I just couldn't really use it as a psychologist. And so, yeah, I've just been taking lots of different modalities. I'm right now taking shamanism. I just finished my first year as a practitioner.
How do you combine the being a coach? Because I know you coach one-on-one, and I know you coach groups, and you have several groups, and being a mom, being a wife, and having fun.
All these roles.
But at the same time healing, because something that I do notice, the more that I teach,
Mm-hmm.
I give sessions of healing less and less and less. I prefer to put it together in my package, so groups or VIPs that they're giving a session one-on-one, because I don't have more time.
Right, exactly.
Like,
Good.
no,
Yeah. Scale your business. That's amazing.
but how do you do that? Because now you're doing Akashic Records. That's a separate
You
session.
know what? It's a good question. So so my signature program is the one you took, which is Client Attraction Academy. It's a 12-week mastermind. I focus more on, so the foundation, as you know, but the audience may not know, is always the psychology with the spiritual foundation. It's always about the inner work. I always say success starts from the inside. You know, when we make those shifts, when we shift out of our ego more into that next level version of ourselves, and then the results show. So my signature program is that, and I always infuse everything with my healing energy. So I do not directly offer one-on-one sessions of Reiki work. I infuse the sessions before I get on a call with clients or with my mastermind clients. I infuse it with the symbols. If I feel called that as we're working, and you've probably seen me work before, where if somebody's trying to needing to get out of their own way, I will do some haikomi work with them, talk to the inner child so that we can shift things on the outside in a more conscious way. Um, I always start my groups with meditation and light language to activate that container, whether it's one on one and group coaching. So things are infused. And then whatever I'm learning in shamanism, there's beautiful exercises. I'm interested in shamanism because I love learning about the different. I really see it as how it integrates psychology and spirit together. And of course, being a lover of psychology,
And
I just
that's
find it so beautiful to be able to apply it, and then having rituals to help become more luminous. Um, really just being more magnetizing and clearing and managing our energy is everything. And that starts with our mind, and that starts with understanding how to respect, um, have a like a what's the word I want to use, have a very strong connected relationship with spirit, so that we tune in to spirit for guidance. And so all of this is combined. With the Akashic record readings, I literally just offer them as one-offs kind of thing, and people come back. Um, it's been really interesting. So I haven't publicly announced this, and like in an interview, but I'm also right now learning. I'm training to be a facilitator to certify other people to become coaches. So that's very exciting. So my business, I'm very, very multi-passionate. I have a lot of different pillars in my business. And it's kind of like, that's why my conversation with Matt the other night with, you know what, if something, do the things that bring you the highest joy. And I see myself just rotating and making offers for different times and different things, so that, whatever is bringing me the highest joy right now, I will offer that. And
yes.
the type of person I am, I love variety. Do I get bored easily? Um, I can. That's why I feel like I love to stretch outside my comfort zone. I love to play. I love to explore. I'm super curious, and I love to go deep. The deeper, the better. And so it's like that way I continue to expand. I go deeper so that I can expand. And I just love learning more about like what I don't know, and finding out more about who I am as a soul and coming home to myself. And of course, there's lots of challenges, we'll say, that come up along the way. The triggers, right? Our whatever triggers us is our medicine. We lean in and we move into that and work through our shit. I always say the heart's work is the hardest work, but it's the most rewarding work. True freedom lies on the other side.
I totally understand that because I designed my system of my program, the one I learned with you in your academy. And then after that, it's like, I want to add this, and now I want to add that, and now I want to do something different.
Yeah.
And but I believe all the creative people, we
Wow.
are like that. We are always creating. I can't imagine just painting one painting forever.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
boring. We need to
Yes.
do what is feels better and it makes us happy. And
Hmm.
it's something okay for the moment. It doesn't make us so happy. We want to do something different.
Yeah.
And just to have variety, different seasonings into life. And that's what it took you to be a podcaster too.
Oh, goodness. I just love to talk. So I'm like, wow, let's just start a podcast. I love to talk and I love to create impacts. And so if somebody's open to listening to me speak, cool. Um, my podcast had the intention of me speaking, and then you know what? I just love interviewing people. It's like so much fun. I've had you on it, and it's so great to just learn from others and to um, receive new perspectives, understand people's methods, understand how people like get their message out there. I love creating that win-win-win, and having the collective learn more and raise, together as we're learning more about, because it's so activate your soulgasmic business is very much about personal and spiritual development with, a business focus, but you don't necessarily have to be in business to listen to it. Um, there's some beautiful things that come through. Every time I interview somebody, I just love the um, golden nuggets that I also receive. I get great feedback about my podcast. It ranks in the top 10% globally of most popular after 41 episodes. So we're on episode number 56 now. So it's a weekly episode, it's a live radio show. Yeah, for me, I love the impacts. I love being able to reach people that I otherwise wouldn't through podcasts. So it's a I think it's a beautiful resource.
Yes, I've been enjoying actually doing a soul talk. I even add one more for artists, and because I like talking to people, and I learn a lot from each one of them, and there are different points of views that they're very important to take in
Mhm.
account. And are you teaching right now some classes, Rose?
No, I'm actually running. Well, I am. I'm running my Client Attraction Academy. I actually am just going to start a wait list because I won't be running it again this year. I'm moving to the next province over, British Columbia and Kelowna, and I'm very excited to be by water and the mountains. I know my my ascension level is going to go up as well as my husband's and my kids, so I just feel like we need to be closer to water. And I feel right now my focus is motherhood. I actually, that's why I'm starting a wait list for the next Client Attraction Academy. But I'm gonna continue offering Akashic Records. So if anybody wants to have a reading, they're very powerful. What's different about my readings is that I have the gift to um, be able to clear any blocks. And many of these blocks are from past life. So I can see what your past lives are, and then I can clear anything that's not serving, supporting you with light language. And then I can also amplify your soul's purpose with light language. So it's so beautiful. It's one of my favorite things that I'm currently offering. Um, it's so fun. It's so fun to do readings for people. I mean, everything I do is fun, but this one is, really like it's really. Sometimes I'm surprised myself because I'm like, okay, like ego's out of the way. I'm literally channeling God consciousness and people's angels, and it's just like incredible the way things come through and just how it confirms things for people, especially if they've had readings and they understand and they've heard of their past lives before, and I don't know them at all, and I'm picking up on the same past lives. It's so fascinating. My ego's like, you're not making this shit up. Like, whoa. So, yeah. And then right now, I'm also, like I said, I'm getting trained to be certifying other people to become coaches. So, if you are, those of you who are tuning in, you're feeling the call to get certified as a life coach, and then we have special niches. Uh, Follow along and stay in touch with me. Um, and I'm in the process of creating more digital programs and offerings. So, yeah, there's lots going on behind the scenes right now. I am in transition and transformation. I am still gaining more clarity about what that next level version of myself looks like as I've ascended and I've expanded so much this past year. Thank you to COVID. As terrible as it's been really also beautiful, and I've really reaped the benefits of coming home deeper to myself this year. And not an easy journey, but
I
definitely a
believe,
beautiful one.
yes, it was terrible, COVID, for the majority of the world, and it's still happening
Yeah.
in parts of India and so forth. They're having it very tough.
Mhm.
But at the same time, because we were in lockdown, that everybody complained, oh my God, we're in lockdown.
Yeah.
Yes, but that forced us to be with us, with
Mhm.
all the noise from outside, with all the that we have to drop so many things and just be with us. And that actually is changing the conscience of the human being. And
Yeah.
that it was wonderful. That was the good part of the COVID. Of
Mm,
course, many people lost loved ones and so forth, and I feel sorry for them. And but at the same time, they were good things.
absolutely.
And yes, hey, even the business online, it actually started flourishing after COVID because people could not go outside and actually take a class online.
Yeah.
That's
That
how I met you. In fact.
That's right. Yeah, 2020 was my best year up until that point in business for sure. Like just helping people bring light workers, healers, therapists, helping them bring their work online has been really really profound. And I think again, COVID really showed us that we can create more impact. We just have to get more creative and know how to leverage social media, get our message out there in a more profound way. So,
Yes, that is true. And I know you're gonna give those to all the people who are listening to us, and we have some of them. And we have before you do the light language that Ross is gonna be giving us a light language transmission. We have Catherine. She's in Australia. With all our outpouring of our information, you communicate. You're able to truly exist in the stillness for your own meal of beingness.
mm-hmm.
And we have also Renee La Sonora. I believe she's in Australia too. We have several listeners from Australia. Thank you for being here, and just get ready for a beautiful transmission of light language from Ross. And we really appreciate that.
Okay, so I'm going to just invite you all to start to get yourself comfortable. If you want to take a seated position, or if you want to lie down, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and do that. And then when you're ready, just to start to take your attention inward, you can have a soft gaze or you can close your eyes. And taking a beautiful big breath in, breathing into the areas of your body that need more spaciousness and breath. So that might be your belly, your rib cage, the front and the back of your heart, your neck, shoulders, even your mind. Just breathing in and bringing this beautiful breath into your body. And then on the exhale, just letting anything go that isn't serving and supporting any tension, heaviness, emptying your mind. And then bring in your breath again, breathing in through your root chakra, which is at the base of your, we'll say perineum, and then your sacral, which is your womb, then your solar plex, which is where your life force energy is, your heart, breathing through your throat. We're activating, opening third eye, and then finally your crown, just opening all this up. And feeling this beautiful white pillar of light coming through the top of your crown, washing through you into your core. This beautiful white light filling you up and surrounding you. Calling in your guides, your angels, your spirit team, calling my galactic power animals, your ancestors for the highest truth and good. Feeling them come in now. And since it's summer solstice, I'm going to invite you to set an intention to be activated under this potent portal. Your intentions that you set and how you show up under this portal will set the tone for the year till next summer solstice. So I invite you to connect with an intention that you deeply desire to have. So maybe it's more peace in your relationship with you. Or maybe it's more peace in a relationship, whether it's romantic or a friendship or a colleague. Maybe you want to manifest more money. Maybe you want to manifest more clients or get that promotion or have a better relationship with your children. So setting that intention and then breathing this intention into your heart space. And breathing out. And then as you breathe in, just tuning into this light language activated. Morakira kia morokoratia, mononoa kia morokoratia, nanaki koratia, nanakoratia, menenaki morokoratia, mananakia morokoratia. Clearing anything in the way of your path. Morokoratia nanakia, morokoratia mananaki, morokoratia nakua mananaki, morokoratia manakua menanaki, morokoratia mananakia. Aligning, balancing. Marakia, morokoratia, morokoratia, morakia nanakia, morokoratia nakia, morokoratia. Activating Moraki, Morakoratia, Nakia, Morakoratia, Nanakia, Morakoratia, 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 Nakia, Morakoratia, Menanaki, Morako, Menanakia. On your next exhale, just breathe it into anchor. Imagine there's a crystal heart at the center of the earth. And you're anchoring in your intentions into this crystal heart. So allowing Mother Earth to hold your intentions in this beautiful crystal heart. Morokoratia nenikia morokoratia. And so it is. Feeling the expansion of the ripple effects already beginning to energetically form. Breathing in and breathing out. And just hanging out with your sensations. You might notice some tingling, lightness, maybe solidness. You might notice your eyes have fluttered. You may notice tears. There's no right or wrong, whatever you just experienced. It's your soul remembering, unlocking some DNA codes on a soul level. Coming home deeper to yourself. So taking a moment right now to remember, so you can keep a piece of this experience by seeing what image comes up or word or phrase to help you remember that you can always cue yourself back here in this place of deeper knowing, place of connecting home to yourself. And see what comes up without thinking. What's the first thing that comes up? And so just remember, you can always cue yourself with this word, phrase, or image. Make it part of your meditation. And then when you're ready, just very slowly and gently start to bring your awareness back into your space. Feeling temperature on your face, wiggling your fingers and your toes. And then when you're ready, just very slowly and gently start to open your eyes. You might want to have a soft gaze. You might want to blink a few times. And then if you have water, go ahead and take some water. Oh, you're still muted, love.
That was wonderful. I always feel like this hot flashes. Energy comes in.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you so much for having me share my stories. And I'm just so glad that I hopefully made some sense. Yeah.
Catherine says that she see you in the Amazon jungle prior the Mayan culture, very aged shaman woman.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. Thank you, love. I feel that. I'm totally receiving that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Oh,
And
always, of course. I feel so honored.
and before we close, I would just like to thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. And you see in the replay, please hashtag replay. I will appreciate it too.
We would love to hear your takeaways.
Yes. I mean, you have any questions, just tag Ross, and her description is on top, so you can find her. It's in the description on top.
Yeah.
And the next week we're gonna have a very special Renee that is actually was listening to us here, the Sonora. We're gonna be having her the next Monday at 7 p.m. And in the 27th, we're gonna start with another podcast that is gonna be on Sundays. That one is gonna be called The Heart of the Art Talk. We're gonna be talking with artists, and we're gonna start with Ruby Avila. And thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody for being here with us and listening to us. And thank you, Ross, again. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, love. I'm so proud of you and just all that you've been creating and co-creating, and just hearing those impacts has been incredible. So thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.